Oh,
We're like super big today.
Where do I look? I don't even know where to look.
We have two different. We do not have our normal setup, so we've had to adjust our setup a little bit here.
Yeah.
Can you scoot this way?
I can try.
Oh, I'm leaving yours.
Yeah,
you're coming into mine.
That's what I'm saying.
How about I do this?
Okay, hi. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. I'm just going to look in the middle of these two cameras. We are coming to you live from
Under the Sea.
Yes, we're coming to you live from our Little Mermaid room at the Art of Animation Resort at Walt Disney World in Florida. We were able to escape the Dallas Snowmageddon.
That's right.
And head off to our vacation. Yes, we're cuddling up. Yay, cuddle up. We got comments. So welcome to our room under the sea.
Yeah.
I got to look at this camera. Camera one. Camera two.
That's right. Because the setup in here obviously is not the way we normally do it. We're trying to use our other camera. It was like all up in your face because it's a big HD camera and it just didn't work the way we wanted.
Y'all. I don't even have any eyeliner on. This is bad. You're going to see how tired I really am because
that's how you always look, though.
My lazy eyes look really like.
So to give you an idea of our adventures, we were supposed to have a first-class flight, being bougie that we are, to head out today. It got canceled yesterday, so then we made a mad dash to try to find another flight. We found an earlier flight, but it pushed us back with the commoners in coach. But we were like, let's just get what we can get and get out of here.
Trying to get out.
Then we got there. Our flight was not delayed at first.
No,
we drove all the way to the airport through the snow and the ice.
We left the house at 9:30 this morning and didn't realize until just now we hadn't eaten, so we just ate.
Yeah, it took us about an hour-ish.
Thank you.
To get to the airport.
To the airport, driving very slowly. Look at my new Mickey cup over here.
I have one too, but mine's different.
And oh my gosh, this is the best thing.
Hold on, no, don't show those stupid things.
I got some Mickey Crocs. They're little Mickey Mouse heads. Okay, sorry.
So dumb.
Continue.
Anyway.
I've barely been here like 40 minutes. I already went shopping, bought food, souvenir cup.
But so we finally get there, we're chilling, and what happens right as we check our bags, our flight gets delayed. But it was only delayed like 15, 20 minutes, so we weren't worried about it. Then it get delayed another 20, 25 minutes. Then they boarded, so we're like, hey, we're good to go. Then they had backups on the tarmac and de-icing planes. We were on the plane for 2 hours.
2.5.
Waiting for it to finally take off. And it really looked like we weren't going nowhere. Then they came on and said...
The good thing is the captain was very communicative. Like he's like, ladies and gentlemen, sorry there's a delay. We were waiting on the crew coming from Orlando to Dallas. And then there was a delay getting into Dallas. We'll let you know. And then he's like, it might be another 15 minutes before we can push off into the de-icing lane. And then he comes on with the most disturbing message.
And you can hear in his voice, he did not want to give this message.
Not at all.
What are you pointing at?
My cookie.
Oh.
I've been good. I get a cookie.
Are you going to tell him the message?
Then he's like, ladies and gentlemen, it seems like there is still a delay. And there are several planes ahead of us. And we're now being told that it could be up to an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours. And we're like, what?
This was after the 2 hours we had already waited.
Oh my
on the plane. So we're already assuming they're going to boot us off the plane and we're going home.
Let us out. I'm like, let me out.
And then literally 30 minutes later?
Yeah, he's like, okay, just 10 minutes. We're going to be pushing off. I'm like, oh my gosh. So
essentially it was a 2-hour flight that took us from 1 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Well, 5 o'clock our home time. So it took us 5 hours to get here.
It took way too long.
Yeah, our 2-hour flight took us 5 hours between all the
That's okay.
But
we're here.
Got us out of the craziness of the weather, which depresses me because I love the snow and I never get the snow. This was a perfect chance for me to be out there in my snow trooper armor.
No, that is true.
Running around, taking pictures. And no, she has to go to Disney. So now I'm sitting in this gaudy Little Mermaid room.
It's the cutest room
ever. And this shower curtain, you might think, why are they doing a show in the bathroom in front of the shower? That is just a curtain that covers the bathroom area. Like both beds they got big seashell headboards. And
it's obnoxious.
It is. It's very obnoxious.
Yeah.
But I want to give props to this resort TV because almost every hotel we go to has a little small TV.
This is a nice
TV. They
got
like a 50-inch TV, flat screen, fancy TV. So we're bougie now. It's still small.
Show everybody your cupcake.
Oh, yeah. So when we got here, we had to eat something. So we spent a bunch of money. So I had to get, since we're at this resort, I bought me a Little Mermaid cupcake.
Show it on this side, too.
It's got a big tail on the top of it. It's some kind of a coconut buttercream and pineapple and under the sea goodness. I don't know what that tail is, but I'm going to eat it in a minute.
Who knows? All right.
So let's talk about whatever we're going to talk about.
What are we going to talk about?
We were going to talk about a specific film this week, but with our setup, we don't have the ability to have our call-in person.
Sorry. Thank you for watching, though.
I know they already watched the film. I think we're going to save it for next Sunday, and I think they're watching right now, so now they're just now finding out we're not doing it tonight. So they're probably going, damn it, I'm all ready and everything. But we'll do it next week when we do a recap of the Disney, because it still fits Disney anyway.
Well, and there's a photo mural somewhere on this.
We want to find
this property. I don't know if it's on this property.
No. Clearly, it's not. It's somewhere.
Somewhere in Disney, there is a mural of the movie we're going to be talking about, and we are going to find it.
That's right.
We are going to suss it out.
It's a movie surrounded in controversy, so most of you will probably already know what we're discussing, but there will be pictures and things that go with it. So we'll be talking about that next week with our Disney wrap up. But there'll also be very random videos, I'm assuming, throughout the weekend of our Star Wars adventures and different Disney adventures. So be able to look out on the YouTube channel. M&M cookie. So what are we talking about today? Or do you want me to tell you since you're eating your cookie?
Yeah, I'm at the list right there.
We have a variety. So we have racial injustices. We've got Korean farmers. We've got housewives on vacation. We've got blind swordsman.
There you go.
Is that it?
That's it.
So which one are you feeling?
I want to talk about the Korean farmer movie.
Okay.
It's actually really interesting. It's a movie called Minari. And the star, most of you will remember from Walking Dead.
Stephen Yeun.
There you go.
Who played, oh no, I just went blank. What was his name?
The Asian guy.
Well, yeah, he was the Asian guy.
He was the Asian guy.
Oh my God, I just got blank.
I'm going to post a link to the review. Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, tell us a little bit about this movie.
So the movie is actually really interesting. It follows this Korean family, as we mentioned, and they move to where? I don't know, somewhere in, I feel like it was Arkansas. Arkansas. And they buy this land, and the guy decides he's going to be a farmer, which is...
It's in like the 80s, right?
Yeah, it's very completely out of character for them. But his idea is he wants to grow fresh Korean vegetables here to sell to the local
and he also works at a hatchery.
Yes, him and his wife, during the day, but at night and during the weekends, his real passion is he wants to grow, he wants to farm, he wants to make something. It's
interesting because going into this movie, I thought this movie was going to be about a Korean family that came from Korea to America.
Correct.
But what it is they were in California and moved to Arkansas. So either way, it's still a whole different world, but they're still very Korean traditional.
Yes.
On a lot of levels. They don't have the whole life set up like in Korea, but in their sensibilities and their thought processes and the way they deal with their relationships and work and everything is still very much cemented in their culture.
Yeah. And I guess the interesting thing to me is not finally, but again, we're getting to see a story of a little bit of the tensions and discriminations that they went through, but it's not a Black family, it's a Korean family. And so it's really interesting because there's some things in here that it was cringing to me because one of the little boys this white boy walks up to the little Korean boy and he's like, "Why is your face so flat?" And he's like, "It's not," but then they become friends. And then this other little girl walks up to the Korean girl. She's like, "What are you, Chinese?" She's like, "No, I'm Korean." "Well, I'm going to say words and tell me if it's a word." And she starts going, ching chong, ching chong. And she starts saying all these horrible, just random sounds. And I'm like, oh my God. But they're in Arkansas in the 80s. I mean, obviously these people were not sensitive.
I'm saying it's okay, but what do you expect?
But
I don't know if we'd really expect it any different today either.
I know, but
although we have friends in Arkansas that aren't like that, but
it was just interesting seeing it from.
Are you wearing those Crocs right now?
Yes, it was just interesting seeing it from another culture's perspective. That obviously race relations and discrimination, it's not a new thing, and it's not just specifically Black people or brown people. It's also Asian Americans. Well,
and you have to understand too, this movie isn't really that focused about that stuff. That's a very small.
It's a small thing, but
it's really about the struggle of the family, of the husband and wife. Their son is sick.
Yeah.
The daughter seems like she doesn't really want to be there. The wife definitely doesn't want to be there. The grandma comes and joins them later. The grandma is the best.
She's the best.
She is, and I mentioned in the review, she is kind of hateful and mean, but in a loving way. If that's
Yeah, I think it's just cultural.
It's not even just cultural. I think it's just her. It's her. She's not mean, like intentionally trying to be mean, but she's insensitive. She's like, like get over it. Come on. Or she teases them or whatever, and then they upsets the kids, and she does different things, and she's very matter of fact the way she says stuff, but she seemed less Korean culture than the rest because she wanted to watch wrestling.
Yeah, and she was funny.
There's a whole funny thing with Mountain Dew where like the dad tells the daughter, "You drink this; it's good for you." It's like water of the mountains.
It's water from the mountains.
Yes, and so she just starts liking that. But it's she was my favorite, and then there's like this whole developing story between her and the grandson.
And the little boy. Mm-hmm. Which is really interesting.
But it's a sad movie, but it's kind of funny. It's kind of weird and artsy.
It's different.
The entire movie, or the 90%, probably 8% of the movie is in Korean, so it's subtitled, except when they interact with some of the other townspeople. Yeah. Like there's one guy that works for them who's from Arkansas, he has his own things that he deals with. And tries to interact with them, and he's really trying to help them out.
And it's interesting though because some of the people in the town were talking about the farm and being there, and they're like, "Oh, what happened to the last guy that was on this land?" And it's like, he put everything he had into the farm and he went bankrupt. So, but it was also interesting because it does give us insight into even the modern day farmers.
Yeah.
Who. Farming is a tough job. It's not like they're making tons and tons of money anymore.
It's a really good movie.
It's just interesting.
Steven Yeun is amazing in it. I mean, the whole cast are really good.
He's good in the grandma.
Him and the grandma steal the movie because he brings all the kind of a lot of torment and the emotions and the layers, and like the wife does too. But he's also dealing with, which I thought was an interesting angle that they go with the Korean pride of. Mm-hmm. You can't stop something once you've started it. You have to finish it. It doesn't matter if it costs you your family. It doesn't matter if it costs you your life. That's the mentality. You can tell she's got a more of Americanized approach of their relationship and how you're choosing one or the other and this and that.
Yeah, that you should. Well, in her mind, you should choose family because that is the thing you're supposed to do.
And he's like,
I'm trying to do this for my family.
He can't give up because he wants to do it for the family, but he also doesn't want to show that he's a failure.
Yeah.
It's interesting dynamic, and I'm really irritated. I want to bring this up now. I think I mentioned it to you.
Okay.
I'm irritated because there's been a lot of award buzz about this movie, and possibly Steven, but with him and the movie itself. But the Golden Globes, the Academy hasn't done anything yet. But the Golden Globes have already kind of screwed them because they're classifying them as a foreign film because it's subtitled, even though it's an American-made film. Yeah. So he's like, what's all subtitles?
I wish people would get over the whole subtitle thing. Like, stop it. Just read
it's
the
automatically
movie.
put. Well, I'm hoping the Academy Award won't go that since Parasite got put into the main thing. That should cancel out that mentality in Academy Awards if it gets recognized. Because I think it deserves a nomination. I hope he gets one because he's done some unique stuff. But going from things like The Walking Dead, which they had to do a lot of emotions and stuff in that show, and then one of my personal favorites, Mayhem. This is a whole different kind of thing to see him do, the kind of the everyman, normal father, and not having to fight or kill or crazy.
And actually, using his language and everything else.
Yeah, so hopefully it does well. But if you haven't seen it, or if you haven't heard of it or whatever, check out. Was it Minari?
Minari.
I keep wanting to go Mirani. I don't know why. I typed it out.
Minari
with MIR instead of MIR.
Where can I find Minari?
You have to open the review. I think it's in select theaters and possibly on demand.
Hold on now. Let's go check it out right now.
No, it's on in theaters now, select theaters, and then on the 26th it hits on demand.
On demand. Okay, cool.
So there you go. Moving on. What you got next?
Okay, next we're going to talk about. Tell me about the Swordsman.
The Swordsman. All right. The Swordsman is a movie about a guy with a sword, and he's a man. It's a story about this guy who was kind of like, I don't have the information with me to tell you exactly, but he was kind of this defender of a king, kind of whatever, and he lost a fight or something, and so he ends up getting cut and his vision's all jacked up.
Yikes.
And so he ends up getting kind of ousted. So he's kind of a Ronin type, but he's no longer running around as like a samurai type. He's just this wandering guy, but he's with this girl, this young girl that he's taking care of, he classifies as his daughter. I don't remember if it's his actual daughter or not.
Yeah.
But anyway, they come in this town, and there's like these. Now you get into the kind of more typical stuff. It's like there's these other bad people want to take over some of the kingdom. There's criminals and whatever. So essentially, what it's about is this guy's trying to protect this young girl, who then gets sucked into this fight again, and his past comes back to kind of haunt him, and he's having to fight. And it's I'm super excited because is it Joe? I always forget if his first name is Joe, because it doesn't seem like Joe Taslim, who was one of the guys from The Raid, is in it as like the villain.
Oh, cool.
But I love this movie. This movie was, as far as story and stuff goes, it's pretty simplistic, and it's not something you haven't seen thousands of times in a lot of these movies. But it's a little bit of a slow build. There's a little bit of action at the beginning. It's kind of got a slow build as you start meeting everybody and figuring out what's going on and understanding. There's a little fighting here and there. But once it gets to the meat of the action, it's like this one guy fighting everyone for half a movie.
That's awesome. Is this the one where it was?
No, that's the 400 versus 1 movie. You're talking about the one-shot movie?
Yes.
No, that's coming out soon. That's coming soon. But no, this one, and the fighting, it lives up to its name. It's all sword fights.
Nice.
It's like, yes, there's kicks and there's punches, but this is a sword fight movie, and it's him fighting. It might as well be this 401 movie. Him fighting a ton of people and
everyone.
Then one-on-one with people. So if it's, and you get to see from his vision sometimes what he sees, because it's like blurry. He's not blind, but it's kind of
like you earlier with your foggy glasses.
Yeah, where he can't see really well, and he's still having to fight, so he has to go by the.
It's so humid. Bobby was just walking outside and his glasses fogged up. That's hilarious.
And I can't use my sense of hearing to navigate me, so that screwed me over. So anyway, but The Swordsman I thought was really good, and it's one of the movies we're giving away on our giveaway. So if you want to check it out and you don't want to go buy it, go to our website at
HollywoodMatrimony.com.
And you can enter a chance to win right there, and it's available this week.
Available now.
It's February 16th from Wellgo USA. It's a really good, just full-on old-school martial arts action flick. It feels like the old Kung Fu movies, but with more modern flair, while still being a period piece, if that makes sense.
Stop hitting the table.
I'm going to keep it.
It's an earthquake. Stop it.
All right, where are we going next?
We're going here.
You just want to talk about this movie, don't you?
I do. Oh, my gosh. Speaking
of vacations.
Yes, we are now going to talk about this movie, Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar.
This might make my list of one of my favorite movies this year so far.
Okay, so this is a movie with Kristen Wiig and Annie Marie Momolo. Close enough. Momolo.
Who both wrote Bridesmaids together.
Oh, cool. Okay,
yes.
There you go. So now they're in this movie called Barb and Star. And that's what they sound like. I'm not just being funny. It has a really good cast, man. There's lots of people in here. So you have 50 Shades of Grey showed up. Damon Wayans Jr. Jamie Dornan. Damon Wayans Jr. Fortune, which is my new favorite person.
Feimster.
And a bunch of people.
And there's a mystery person that we still don't know who that is.
I suspect.
I'm gonna go look it up now that the movie's out. I'm hoping they'll reveal.
Yeah. So
there's like a I guess a bad guy of sorts.
Yeah.
If you want to call it that.
Not in the credits.
The character's not in the credits. Was not on IMDb. I'll check now, see if she's up there now. And we were debating on who we think it might be. So
anyway, so Barb and Star are these two ladies. They're best friends. One of the ladies, her husband's passed. One of the ladies, her husband left her. And so it's just the two of them. They live together. They work together. They do everything together. And circumstances happen. And then they're like, we need to do something to shake up our lives and start over, a fresh new start. So they decide they're going to go on vacation together.
And they go to?
Vista Del Mar. Okay? A little place outside of Florida. Hey, that's we're in Florida too. Anyways, it's so funny. It starts off with
it's ridiculously stupid in the best way possible. It's
dumb but funny. And, normally I don't like dumb movies.
I know. I was a little worried that you were going to hate this movie.
I liked this one. I like Kristen Wiig.
This was very Austin Powers-y.
Yes, a little bit.
But with a comedy.
Well,
Austin Powers is comedy, doesn't he?
I know. I've met Austin Powers. I'll post the picture later.
Oh. I was like, what?
My phone's over there.
It kind of was like Austin Powers meets, I don't want to say The Naked Gun because it's not quite that stupid, but it is that kind of world. Mm-hmm.
The funniest thing to
Dumb
me,
and Dumber a little bit.
maybe Dumb and Dumber because of the best friend thing, but I think the funniest thing to me is that there's random musical numbers for no reason.
They are, and they're ridiculous.
And
the best one, though, I will have to say, as stupid as it was Jamie Dornan. It's because seeing him, we've only seen him in 50 Shades of Boredom, and then he showed up in that Synchronic movie. So it's always like these dramatic or sexy hunk characters, and he's playing that character here. But he does not take himself seriously.
No,
and it's
not
a
at
funny,
all.
I mean, to the point where he's like on the beach.
That's my favorite thing is he's all like,
on the beach. Oh my God. It's so funny.
It's so funny. This movie is basically.
It's the movie we need now.
A comedy, but it's one of the, like a caper.
Yeah, we don't want to give away because the trailer doesn't even mention any of that.
No, that's all you need to know. So it's like
when it starts. If you've seen the trailer, the trailer starts with that little Asian kid singing and delivering paper. So that little kid is hilarious. But that's how the movie starts, is with that sequence. But that sequence goes somewhere completely different than what you think.
That's all you need to know. They go on vacation and unwittingly become part of something.
And they're both, Barb and Star are both stupid, but not stupid. Kind of gullible.
They're
naive.
gullible. They're naive. That's what it is. Because they've just have spent their whole lives together, like working together, living together.
And I love that there's this ongoing thing
beyond that.
There's even an ongoing thing with the culottes.
Yes.
With their pants. And like the movie even opens, I believe, with a definition of culottes.
What culottes are, which I know because my mom wore those all the time in the 80s.
And
that's the other thing is this movie time period.
One of them looks like she has the same hair as your mom, too.
I know. It felt like I was in the 80s or early 90s, but I think it's actually modern times because they mentioned something about cell phones. And she's like, oh, well, we don't have cell phones. And she's like, no, we use the landline.
No, because she wanted to buy
a
phone cover.
And she's like, but you don't have a cell phone. She's like, no, I'll tape it to the home phone. I was like, okay. It's so bizarre.
It feels like, and I was researching, but I don't see anywhere. So if anybody knows, let me know if these characters came from a skit, because it felt very much like a Saturday Night Live skit come to life.
It was so good.
Even if you watch the very first trailer, I don't know if you saw it.
Yes.
Where it doesn't show their faces. Yeah, it's just showing their hands and their mouth and their hair.
They're stirring their teeth.
Yeah, that felt like maybe that was how the skit was. But I don't know. The movie is so funny.
It's hilarious. You need to watch it.
It's the kind of movie that, yes, it's stupid. It's ridiculous. It's just
it's over the top.
But you can't help but
do it over the top. Okay.
There's a massive difference when we do this. Look at this. And look at this.
Push it back there. Push it back there. No, push the back. So it looks like the back.
In the front.
There you go.
You don't push from the back. You're supposed to push from the front. Push mine from the back. Oh,
yours is already up.
All right, but
tickled.
So tough. But it's one of those that you can't help but be happy when you watch this movie.
Yeah.
Like, even if you think it's just stupid and you hate it.
It's dumb and ridiculous. And
this is the kind of movie we need coming out of 2020.
I know.
Just something fun. And this was another one that was supposed to be a theatrical release.
Yeah.
But it didn't get it because of the COVID. So it's getting the pay-per-view, PVOD, as Kristen Wiig said on Howard Stern. She goes, they're like, how are people going to see this without being able to see it? She goes, we can get it anywhere. PVOD. And they're both like, what is that? And she just laughed. She goes, it's pay-per-view on demand. They're like, oh.
They're learning. Anyways.
But she is the first person I'd ever heard call PVOD.
Paid video on demand?
Yeah, it's PVOD is how.
Do you have to pay for it?
Yes. It is not part of directly on Amazon.
I don't know these things. Bobby just shows up and he's like, we're watching this right now. I was like, okay.
Most of them, she doesn't know if we paid for it or if I had screeners for it.
I know nothing. I have something in my eye.
So anyway, Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar.
Barb.
Super ridiculously awesome, funny, dumb movie that everybody should watch because it'll just put a smile on your face.
It'll make you happy. That's all we need.
It's ridiculous, but it's fun.
Get some popcorn. Enjoy. All right. We got one more movie to talk about. Yeah.
This is the heavy one.
That's why I saved it to the end. This is a little heavy for Disney World, but we're going to go for it.
These cups, so you know we bought them because then you can refill them all the time at the resort anytime you want. So you don't buy drinks. But here's what's silly about it because of the COVID and the social distancing, the way everything is set up now. They have this whole wall thing full of drink dispensers. So, you normally just 24/7.
How?
24/7, you go fill up your beverage. You can't do that anymore, but you can still get the drink. So what happens is you have to go over there. There's people standing, you tell them what to drink. They put it in a styrofoam cup. Then they hand the cup to you, and then you put it in your own cup. So
a little bit weird, but that's okay. We'll get through it. Okay. We got one more to talk about, and it's Judas and the Black Messiah.
This is another one of those that part of the big Warner Brothers drop where they released it in theaters, but it's also on HBO Max for 30 days. So if you have HBO Max, you can watch it at home right now. Mm-hmm. If you don't, you can go to the theater. If you don't want to do either one of those, then you got to wait for it to come back to HBO Max or pay-per-view later on.
Okay, there you go. All right, so who's in this? Everyone in the world is in this movie. Because I was like, that looks like that guy from that one movie.
Do you want me to tell everybody his name?
Yes.
All right. I'll probably mess up Daniel's name. Daniel is Kaluuya. Daniel Kaluuya. Lakeith Stanfield, Jesse Plemons, Martin Sheen. Those are the main people. Some of the other people, Dominique Fishback and Ashton Sanders are the main cast.
Yeah. Now I'm cold.
It is a story of Fred Hampton, who was one of the Black Panthers that was really striving to bring the people together, but not just the Black people. He was trying to bring anybody that were being held down, impoverished, the Hispanic people, the white people in the poorer neighborhoods. He was trying to do everything, but he was in the militant Black Panthers, and he was militant a little bit later as he got angry. If you know the story of Fred Hampton, you know what happened to him. Are you trying to find Fred Hampton on your Mickey Mouse?
No, I'm looking at all the pictures. I got distracted.
But then the other side of the coin of the story is William O'Neill, who was the Judas of the story. It's not really with a movie like this, I'm not going to spoil the movie itself, but it's a history. And if you watch the trailer, it tells you. But William O'Neill was arrested for impersonating an FBI agent so he could steal cars. And so they basically, when they arrested him, they gave him an option of prison or be an informant. And so he basically infiltrated the Black Panther Party. And then our story unfolds from there.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Now, did you know anything about this story?
I didn't know anything about this.
Did you even know anything about Fred Hampton?
No, I didn't know anything about
I didn't know this story, but I knew all about Fred Hampton.
I don't. This is where
obviously not all of
my lack of history shows. You're really into history, especially not just what they teach us in Texas, which is Alamo. I mean, that's all we know about American history.
I know everything about the Alamo.
But you're way more well-versed in history than I am. And so this was actually very interesting. And what I liked about it is they mixed in some actual real footage of the other guy,
William O'Neill.
Oh,
you talking about the interview thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically there's an
interesting.
He did one interview, William O'Neill did. He did one interview years later.
Yeah, this is
and talked about kind of
what he did
and his connections. And so in the movie they recreate that interview, and then they use the real footage of the interview kind of at the end of the movie, which I'm assuming made you very happy in some of the way they explain stuff.
But it's also really sad and heartbreaking at the end. But the story itself is interesting, and I liked Chairman Fred.
I like Fred
because his idea was to reunite all of the people that were being mistreated, that were facing like injustice from the police brutality, or that were being marginalized by their own government, and uniting them, being like, hey, let's fight together for this.
See, I didn't know. I mean, when I said earlier, I know all about Fred. I didn't know all about Fred. I didn't realize that I knew his Black Panther stance. I knew he was all about unification, but I didn't realize he had brought, when they all came together, I didn't realize he was the one that had brought the Rainbow Coalition actually together, which was the Hispanics and the whites and all them trying to, and there was a lot of the crowns that were not interested in what the Black Panthers were up to. They seemed, I don't know anything about the crowns. I've never studied them.
Need to study that,
but to me, and if anybody knows, correct me, feel free. But it felt to me like they wanted Black power, Black justice stuff, but they were way more about power. They wanted Black people in power, where Fred Hampton wanted everybody in power and everybody to be equal and everybody to be treated right. And he's like, if you get rid of this, then we're all equal, Yeah,
the other thing that, to me, that really stood out, and I was telling one of my friends about this, is the police brutality and just straight up the police going in and shooting a bunch of people who were not even shooting back, blowing up things like the police was doing this. Like and it's documented and people
there's like that one thing it said, like there's one sequence that I'm not going to tell you when and what happens. If you know the history, you'll know what I'm talking about, where they talk about how the police had fired almost 100 shots.
Yeah.
The other people fired one shot, but they were charged with assaulting an officer.
Yeah. And so
and they fired the one shot after they were bombarded.
Because this was in the 60s, right?
Yeah, it's not that long ago.
It's not that long ago, but to people nowadays or throughout the past year with Black Lives Matter, like, oh, like
there's people alive that we know that were alive during this happening.
I know, but that's what
makes it even.
It's baffling to me how people don't believe police brutality exists, that racial discrimination exists. Like, how do you not?
Well, it's sad of how relevant this movie still is. This movie should not be relevant anymore.
It shouldn't be.
This movie should be about a piece of history that you see we've learned from this. And this movie it seems to be almost worse in certain aspects. I know it's not completely, because back then they were still dealing with some of the segregation stuff and everything else, but it seems almost worse in the bigger picture that it's still gone on this long.
Yeah.
And after all that fight and all that stuff, nothing has changed.
Mm-mm.
And anybody that thinks it has is why it's not changed.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was, I was there and I was like, how is this happening? Like, the police are doing this.
Oh, and the police are firebombing stuff.
Yes. And that's why, all of now I'm getting more in tune with all of the rap music and like.
It's, a lot of people don't realize, like, maybe not so much.
Like, I am now.
Maybe not so much today.
Becoming more aware.
Yeah, maybe not so much today, but if you listen to a lot of the older school raps, like Public Enemies and even Ice Cubes and things like Tupac's and, that generation. And there's way more than that. You get into Paris, who was actually Black Panther or is related in the Black Panthers. When you listen to a lot of those lyrics, there's a lot of references to stuff that starts making sense when you start understanding it.
I'm really getting
it's not all just about bitches and hoes and killing. That stuff is
we need
there.
That stuff.
But then when you hear about police brutality and some of that music, and they make a reference, you realize, oh crap, they're talking about this situation that happened, and it's a real situation. It's not just that one guy.
Yeah, no. And then the other thing, though, that kind of goes with the movie is there's this one lady who's a poet, and then she's telling Chairman Fred, she's like, "Your speech was amazing. You're a poet as well." And then they're listening to some recordings from Malcolm X, and it is, if you get into it. It is poetic. It's very lyrical.
I think
it's the aspirational dream of the future.
One of my favorite scenes is there's a scene where Fred Hampton is literally walking around in his living room, listening to that Martin Luther King speech. Malcolm X speech, and he's reciting it like he's learning a language.
Yes.
And it's because he's memorizing that speech.
It's all very moving.
Because he's listening to that speech. A lot of people hear these speeches, the I Have a Dream speeches, and a lot of people know them. Like my son used to be able to recite part of the I Have a Dream speech because he learned it at school.
Yes.
But I guarantee during that time, he never really listened to what that speech was.
Correct.
He was a child. I mean, I expect that. But a lot of people hear this. That's why these things still happen, is because there are people that are listening to it and there's people that are hearing it.
I agree.
And it's the same thing as I saw this on the news, or I saw this and I see what's going on out there and we got to fix it.
I see it, I hear it, and I don't know what we can do to change it. It makes me sad. That's where I'm at right now. I'm in a state of sadness, and now I need to get into a state of active.
That's why we're at Disney.
I know. But when we get back out of Disney World.
How do we get out after watching Judas and the Black Messiah?
How can we make change happen, babe?
You go to Disney World. That's how you make change.
I guess
you turn the Splash Mountain into the Princess and the Frog ride. That's how you make change.
I guess
that's what they're doing.
I know, they're getting rid of the supposed
Song of the South stuff and turning it into the Princess and the Frog.
I mean,
they're going to repurpose the existing
ride. About that, but that's a whole other issue. Anyways, everybody, please check out Judas and the Black Messiah. It's very eye-opening. It is relevant to today, even though it's a movie in the 60s. Oh, everybody looks so awesome.
Yeah, and both those two leads were amazing. Like Keith Stanfield and
they're
Daniel
from
Kaluuya.
And that like.
They're both from the movie Get Out.
That's from the movie Get Out, isn't it?
Yeah, they're both from Get Out. Which was funny, though. That's not the movie you remembered. This is just so funny. It's the kind of movie we're watching.
Yes.
Hold on. Daniel, you remember him from Black Panther because he was, T'Challa's good friend. It kind of turned on him.
Yeah.
But like Keith Stanfield is also in, what is that name of that movie?
The one where he's making the phone calls.
Yeah, but it's
that sells
Anyway, I'll have to look it up. But it's this movie about, we talked about in the show about telemarketers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But he does this white voice in the movie because that's part of like the thing. Hey, you'll sell more if you have a white voice. So we're sitting here watching this movie about Black Power, and she goes, "Oh, is he the guy in the movie where he does the white voice?" And I'm like, "This is not the appropriate movie to discuss it." But you're not wrong.
But I mean, that even goes to the topic of discrimination.
Yeah.
There's a whole study actually on LinkedIn, and it became a big commercial that if you have an ethnic sounding name on your resume, people are less likely to call you and hire you. So this one lady, somebody posted like this happened one of our speakers from work, he talked about it. His cousin legally changed her name because she was not getting any phone calls back. That's crazy.
Yep. I think I also
hard.
look at, I know this may sound silly, but as me on the outside, and maybe I get overly sensitive because I'm irritated by white people now.
Yes, Bobby.
Thank you. But I get irritated too when
you're the man, right? You are the man.
I know I'm the man.
Sorry. And you don't even like the man.
I don't know. White people annoy me. But I also get annoyed when it's stuff like for you, for instance, if you're looking at your resume, you're suddenly more valuable if you speak your own language.
True.
But if they don't need Spanish, you're less valuable. You know what I mean? Because you're brown. Your skin makes you less valuable, but if they need the language of your people, it makes you more valuable. Or if they need to meet
a certain number, quota.
That stuff I think is just horrible. It's like, I would never understand that. But they just look at me like, nope, you're stupid. You know, that's what I have to deal with.
That's why Home Depot wouldn't call you back.
Yeah.
Bobby tried to get a job last year at Home Depot because, Corona happened, but they were hiring.
I applied at Home Depot, at Lowe's, at Target. I went back to Spirit in October, which they were going to give me a management position when I worked there before. Lowe's is the only one that responded to me. 2 months later, yes, we're interested if you come in for an interview. I emailed them back, okay, let me know. Never heard from him again. They're like, we can't hire him. He's white.
Exactly, because one of our friends...
We have to meet a quota.
Who's not white.
Yeah, one of our friends who's a small Indian woman, knows nothing about building anything, nothing about Home Depot, got a job at Home Depot, and they won't let her quit. She quit. They wouldn't... We'll just won't put you on the schedule for now. She's like... What? Okay.
Middle-aged white man who could actually lift and move things.
I can lift, I can move things, I can do stuff. I was like,
no.
Like when I got
You're too white.
When I worked part-time, I know. I don't meet the quota now, I guess. I was like, your people taking work away from me.
Yeah, right. They're taking away a good American job.
That's so stupid.
Anyway,
I didn't really want any of those jobs. I was just, it was really just to save face to show her I was trying to do something to help out.
Well, while your other money went away from the Coronas. So. Anyways, okay, moving on. What do we got? What
I think that was it.
Giveaways.
Oh, I don't know. Let me look. Hold on.
Wow. You need to be doing your job.
Oh, I'm here. I just have to. We don't have our normal setup, sister. Give me a break. Okay, so we have a variety of stuff. Most of it's been the same stuff. Nothing really new added, except for maybe one. We're giving away copies of The Swordsman, as I mentioned earlier. Yes. What are you doing? Oh, we have copies of Arch Enemy. The other movie I was going to talk about today, but I got to write the review tonight.
Sorry.
I'll save it for next week. Arch Enemy, a movie called Random Acts of Violence, which I just watched. I'll be posting that review this week, or actually tonight probably. It is awesome. I'll just tell you that. So good. That's the one I was watching last night. You go, what is this 80s thing you're watching?
Yeah.
Because it was like the credits were like, wah, 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 wah. Then we give it away. Wah, 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 wah. I still have a couple of copies of Fat Man, one of our favorite holiday films,
the best.
Available. Then a couple of copies left of Jingxia, which is part of the Fing Shen cinematic universe. And the newest one we've added is Greenland, which is the new Gerard Butler film. Mm-hmm. We got copies of that. And I can tell you, I'm waiting for it to show up before I post the article, but it'll probably be coming up this week, added to the site, so be on the lookout. We're going to be giving away copies of the very excellent Mr. Dundee on Blu-ray, which we really loved. It was a fun movie with Crocodile Dundee, but Paul Hogan. So that's what we got coming.
Okay,
that's the one we were supposed to watch
on Friday. The Mauritanian. This is very.
That's the one we were going to watch, but I had to hopefully still watch it.
Woodward and Benedict Cumberbatch, Jodie Foster,
Benedict Cumberbatch. Zachary Levi. That's the one I told you about, the guy that got arrested.
The Mauritanian.
Yeah, the guy that got arrested and held for years or something without any trial.
What?
Yeah. Something like that.
Government, watch out.
Yes.
Okay, Nomad Land.
I really want to see that.
That's the one where Frances,
where
she's going around.
With the nomads and
stuff.
Stuff.
It's interesting.
And they have real nomads.
But I can't tell if it's in documentary style
I think
or
it's
a feature.
Both.
Okay.
I think it's a feature, but shot documentary style because a lot of the people in the movie are actual nomad people. Yeah. They're not actors.
Okay, something on video demand and digital called Test Pattern. Psychological horror thriller drama. So we'll see. Netflix movie. I care a lot.
That's the trailer I was watching this morning.
And it's Peter Dinklage.
That's the one I was watching this morning. I know you didn't see, but maybe you heard it.
I heard something.
When the lady was talking about taking advantage of the old people.
Oh.
And then somebody shows up that ain't taking the crap.
I see.
Okay. That's what's her name?
Rosamund.
No, they don't have her name on there for some reason. Okay. Anyway, I forgot the lady's name. It's
interesting.
Anyway, she takes the wrong old lady. And I think she's connected like crime bosses or something. So
okay, Disney Plus this week is Flora and Ulysses. So that looks interesting. It's the one with the superpower squirrel or something. I don't even understand. Video demand and digital, The Violent Heart. It's Tobey Maguire. So, if you're a fan, there you go. That's pretty much it. Tuesday, there's a random thing on next Tuesday, but that's kind of it for this week. There's some good stuff there.
Coming out on Blu-ray and stuff this week. The Arch Enemy, Swordsman, Random Acts of Violence, all of those hit this week officially. Okay, hold on. I got pop-ups coming up over here causing me grief. Because this is 16th, is it correct? Mm-hmm. Lovecraft Country, complete first season.
You just finished
the whole thing, I watched it, and I ended up really enjoying it. I thought it started off kind of slow, but I ended up getting into it.
It's monsters and stuff, right?
It's monsters and demons and hell.
I'm going to watch it.
Super witchcraft.
Watch it.
But it also deals with Jim Crow era of America and racism. And
it's an interesting backdrop for that.
Huh?
It's an interesting backdrop.
It is, and there's even a thing where like, on the, remember how they used to draw, I don't want to say they're minstrels, but remember how they used to draw like little black girls and they'd have like the pigtails that are kind of dirty, but the big lips and the really just there's like a demonic version twist to that. Where it's like this little girl dressed like that. She's all like, but it's creepy, very Pippi Longstocking, slave looking.
Did you get a kind of a deeper vibe of everything?
Yeah, because it starts
really about
it starts off with a picture. Yeah, it starts with a picture on a book, and then it ends up being a life, and then it like possesses another little girl, and it's like this whole. It's creepy. You have to watch the show.
It seems deep.
The show's batshit crazy, and it's all over the place. I believe the very excellent Mr. Dundee is coming out this week.
That was really fun.
But I haven't had confirmation that that's when it's coming out or not, because sometimes the one I'm using, they get moved around.
That's fun.
Harley Quinn, the animated series, season 1 and 2 are coming to Blu-ray.
This is the one that's not kid-friendly, right?
It is not kid-friendly in any shape or form.
They dropped the F-bomb.
There's sex in it. There's lesbianism. There's violence.
I was so shocked.
And you didn't even see season 2. You didn't even finish season 1. But season 2 is even way further.
I didn't even realize that's what was happening. It was like, what?
But it is now, in case you don't know, DC Universe doesn't exist anymore, the streaming service. Yeah. It does, but it's called DC Infinite, I believe it's called. It's a straight-up digital comic site, but I believe it still has some of the stuff on it. But Harley Quinn and stuff are now exclusive, or going to be exclusive to HBO Max.
Cool.
So all those exclusive Titans, Doom Patrol, Harley Quinn, Young Justice, all that's going to be HBO Max now. So in case you're wanting to watch it, that's where it's at now. The Informer, which is another movie I'd wanted to see, is finally coming to Blu-ray. And I think that's about it.
Okay. Well, that's it.
There's a few other things coming up.
Well, that's our show for today. Thank you so much for joining us live from Disney World in Orlando.
That's right. And be on the lookout all this week. We're going to be posting various they won't be live unless we do Facebook Live, because we can't do live on YouTube. But there will be videos on YouTube popping up when we visit Galaxy's Edge. Who knows, maybe other things that we come across or see or talk about. And we may do just random videos like this instead of reviews. We may pop in and talk about
just do what
I'm calling Hollywood Matrimony Adventures.
Yes, we got lots of adventures to talk about. Right now, I need sleep.
Yeah, and I got to work.
All right.
I had to
Thank you
bring
so
my whole
much
art
for
studio with me.
watching this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. We will definitely see you next Sunday, no matter what, for more movie reviews and news. Check out our website, HollywoodMatrimony.com. Thank you for watching us live on Facebook and live on YouTube. We will see you next week.
And if you're one of those people stuck somewhere in Snowmageddon around the world, the country, be careful, be safe.
Stay home.
Make little snowmen of us. Send us pictures so we can explore. We're really depressed that we're not in Snowmageddon with you. I'm bummed out. I love the weather.
I hate
and the
the
snow.
cold. It should always be 70.
Y'all should have seen my winter outfit today. I was all wintered out.
He wore shorts like normal. How was that wintered out?
I wore a jacket.
That's true.
I wore a Blizzard Force jacket, which is my detachment from 501st. But it's not even a big thick jacket. It's more of like a hoodie, zip-up jacket. She's over here in her Grimace jacket with a hood and pants and gloves and scarves. And I'm walking around like the guy that picked us up at the parking ride thing. He's like, dude, you ain't cold? I was like, I'm good. But
all right.
Peace and love, children.
We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.